What a tough day for 49ers fans, as we just learned about a significant injury impacting our offensive line. After a heartbreaking loss to the Dolphins, it seems we might have seen the last of one of our key players on the field. The uncertainty surrounding his future is palpable, and with free agency looming, could this be the moment we say goodbye? Stay tuned as we dive into the implications of this injury and what it means for the 49ers moving forward. If you want to stay updated on all things 49ers, make sure to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Aaron Banks, our left guard, may have just played his final game with the San Francisco 49ers. That's right, folks. He suffered an MCL injury during our tough loss against the Dolphins and did not return to the field. As we wait for the MRI results today, it seems likely that he'll miss the final 2 games of the season. And what does that mean for us? Well, it looks like Banks is on the verge of becoming an unrestricted free agent, and honestly, it seems probable that he'll sign with another team. The reality is, the 49ers have a long list of key players they need to re-sign this offseason. We're talking about names like Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Hufanga, and Charvarius Ward. Not to mention, there's the looming possibility of a massive multi-year contract extension for Brock Purdy. With all these priorities, it feels inevitable that someone has to go, and it's looking like that someone will be Aaron Banks. Let's take a moment to reflect. Banks was a second-round draft pick back in 2021. He sat out his rookie year, which was understandable, but then he finally became a starter in his second season and has held that position since. Yet despite the potential the 49ers saw in him when they drafted him, he hasn't quite lived up to expectations. Just recently, he missed a couple of games due to a concussion, and during that time, journeyman Ben Bartch stepped in. I think it's fair to say Bartch was an upgrade. Then, after Bartch went down, Spencer Burford filled in, and guess what? He performed better than Banks, too. This situation really raises the question of how hard it will be for the 49ers to find a true replacement next season. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see the team draft a guard early in the draft next year. We did it this year when we selected right guard Dominic Pooney in the 3rd round, and he's been a solid addition to our line. So, as we look ahead, can the 49ers draft another quality guard to bolster our offensive line? I genuinely hope so, but I have to admit, I'm a bit torn about Banks potentially leaving. On one hand, I understand that business decisions have to be made, especially considering the talent we need to retain. On the other hand, I can't help but feel a bit of nostalgia for what could have been with Banks. You believe this was the best decision? I, honestly, am divided. This situation definitely stirs some emotions. It's hard to see a player who was drafted with high hopes possibly exiting the team, especially when we've invested so much time into his development. But at the end of the day, we need to focus on what's best for the team moving forward. The 49ers have a championship window that we can't afford to waste. And now, it's your turn. What do you think? Do you believe letting Banks go is the right call? Or should we hold on to him a little longer in hopes that he can finally break out? I want to hear your thoughts on this. Drop your opinions in the comments below, whether you're feeling frustrated, excited, or somewhere in between. Right, 49ers fans, let's dive into the aftermath of our recent game against the Miami Dolphins. It's tough to swallow a 29-17 loss, especially when it drops our record to 6-9. I know it's frustrating, but let's break down what Pro Football Focus had to say about our players' performances, both the good and the bad. First, we have to highlight Deebo Samuel. He had an outstanding game with an offensive grade of 89.4, which was the highest on the team. Can you believe he racked up 121 total yards and scored his first touchdown since October? It's about time we saw that explosiveness again. His ability to break tackles and make big plays is exactly what we've been missing. But let's not forget Eric Saubert, who also shined with a solid 81.3 grade. Scoring his first touchdown of the season is huge for a tight end who's really stepped up in a critical moment. And George Kittle continued to be a beast out there, catching 8 passes for 106 yards. He's just a few yards shy of hitting 1,000 for the season, such a pivotal player for us. Now, Brock Purdy had a mixed bag of a game. Sure, he threw for 313 yards with 2 touchdowns, but that interception and the pressure he faced were concerning. His overall grade was 71.5, which isn't terrible, but when he was under pressure, it dropped to 48.2. That's not the kind of performance we need from our quarterback if we want to make a push. It makes you wonder, can he elevate his game when it matters most? On the offensive line, Dominic Puny did manage to hold his own with a 69.5 grade. For a rookie, that's commendable, but we need more consistency across the board. Players like Jake Brendel and Patrick Taylor really struggled, and we can't afford that moving forward. Flipping over to the defensive side, D. Winters really impressed. He stepped in for the injured Dre Greenlaw and posted an 83.9 grade, leading the team in tackles. I think we found a player who can make a difference out there. Nick Bosa, as always, was a force. He had 2 pressures and the best run defense grade. I want to see him continue to dominate, especially as we head into the final stretch of the season. But here's where it gets tricky. Some of our key defensive players had subpar games. Evan Anderson, Dre Greenlaw, and Malik Mustafa all struggled significantly. It raises the question, are we deep enough in our roster to handle injuries? And what about our special teams? There were some bright spots, but we still need to tighten things up. The overall performance has to improve if we want to compete against some of the tougher teams in the league. So, where do we go from here? Personally, I'm torn. Part of me thinks we might need to reassess some of our strategies, maybe even consider some lineup changes. This team has the talent, but can we put it all together in time? And you, what do you think? Do you believe we're making the right moves here? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Are we on the right track, or is there something more we should be doing? As we gear up for the next game, remember to keep that 49ers spirit alive. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your fellow fans, and subscribe to the channel for all the latest updates. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a moment of the action. Let's rally together and support our team as we fight for a chance at the playoffs. Go Niners!